Welcome to Globetrotting. Join us on this episode for snow, mountains, and polar bears in Canada. We check out the wild Calgary Stampede, get magical at Winterlude, and travel through some of the most spectacular scenery in the world, as well as getting the lowdown on Canadian culture. And if that's not enough, we'll show you 5 things we bet you didn't know about Canada. Whether you like wild festivals or peaceful trips through the countryside, Canada has something to offer. From the Calgary Stampede to the Canadian Rockies and Winterlude, the Winter Wonderland. A train trip through the Canadian Rockies is one of the most relaxing, scenic journeys any traveler could wish to take. The train slices through mountains, snakes along river valleys, balances precious bridge crossings, and disappears into tunnels. The stunning scenery, combined with the slow, rocking motion of the train, makes it a truly soothing trip. There are many tour companies who offer train rides through the Rockies. These usually include food and drink, so you really don't have to worry about a thing. The Canadian Rockies are the Canadian section of the North American Rockies. They are distinct from their North American counterparts because they are considered to be older mountains. They are also known to be more sharply pointed than the North American mountains, providing a more powerful scene setting. On a journey through the Canadian Rockies, you can take in gushing waterfalls, snow-capped mountains, and lakes so glassy it's like looking into a mirror. There is also a variety of wildlife to be found in the Rockies. You can find mountain goats, brown bears, eagles nesting on power poles, moose, and even more and more bears. Some of the highlights on a trip through the Rockies include stopping at Jasper National Park. The Jasper National Park is home to such top spots as the Columbia Icefields region, Banff, and Lake Louise. Hiking the Columbia Icefields provide pristine scenery and the freshest water around. Banff and Lake Louise provide another top spot to unwind. The Lake Louise ski area and mountain resort are a top vacation spot. Every year, thousands of tourists enjoy the alpine temperatures and great snow seasons. The Calgary Stampede is hailed as the greatest outdoor show on earth. This rodeo brings in 1 million tourists every year. It features an internationally recognized rodeo competition, stage shows, concerts, agricultural competitions, chuck wagon races, First Nations exhibitions, and pancake breakfasts around the city, among other attractions. The Calgary Stampede is about more than just a rodeo. A carnival atmosphere pervades the air, and the smell of street cooking wafts through the party. The Calgary Stampede is held for 10 days in Calgary, Alberta, every year in mid-July. The Calgary exhibition began in 1886 when a railroad first went to the city, and the rodeo was established in 1912 to attract some of the best cowboys in North America. It continues to do so today with an attractive prize pool of $1 million. Each year, Ottawa comes alive for Winterlude. Winterlude, or Bal des Neiges in French, is a large outdoor festival that draws over 1 million tourists every year. Winterlude includes public ice skating and ice skating displays, snow and ice sculpture competitions, musical concerts at the Winterlude Snow Bowl, children's play areas, an ice lounge and bed, wader races, and numerous off-site events. Held in February, Winterlude organizers famously clear the Rideau Canal for ice skating displays and concerts. The canal is said to create the largest ice skating rink in the world. Traditional food sold at Winterlude is a beaver tail, but don't worry, it doesn't really contain animal tails. It's simply a fried dough in the shape of one. Teams from different Canadian provinces and territories compete at ice sculpture making. The whole city gets involved in the winter wonderland that is Winterlude. Canada, oh Canada. From metropolitan cities set against alpine mountains to ski regions fit for royalty, Canada offers fun, funky, fabulous hotspots. Vancouver is one of the world's most picturesque cities. It combines urban sophistication with a bustling central business district, with pristine mountain ranges and a harborside location. Vancouver's coastal location means that a glimpse of the water is never far away. And on the other side of the city lies the silhouette of glorious mountains. So whether you're a tourist getting tired of the concrete outlines of a cityscape, or if you're a local feeling stressed by the pressure of inner city life, you can relax in Vancouver by simply looking up at the beautiful natural elements nearby. Vancouver's nearby wilderness is perfect for the adventurer in all of us, and it is full of activities to help you experience its natural beauty. Grouse Mountain Cable Car provides a spectacular panoramic view of the city. For another high-altitude experience, the Capilano Suspension Bridge offers vistas over cedar rainforest on the outskirts of the city. But if you prefer your sightseeing a little more extreme, there are plenty of activities to keep you satisfied. Check out paragliding or hiking to really get in touch with nature. Only 2 hours north of Vancouver lies Whistler. Whistler is one of the most popular ski destinations in Canada. Whistler has a permanent population of around 10,000, but this often swells from young hospitality workers and ski instructors. Most of these workers come from Australia and Japan, which give the place a fun, party atmosphere. Over 2 million people visit Whistler every year. The star attractions are alpine skiing and mountain biking in summer. In 2010, Whistler will host the Winter Olympics. The extreme terrain, superior snowfall, and distance to a major city meant that Whistler was an ideal candidate to host the Winter Olympics. Each summer, around 100,000 bikers descend on the Whistler mountain bike path, which offer around 50 options for riders of all skill levels. Lake Louise and Banff are famous for having inhabitants and a township inside a national park. Lake Louise is located in the Canadian province of Alberta in Banff National Park. It is named for the nearby Lake Louise, which in turn was named after Princess Louise Caroline Alberta, the fourth daughter of Queen Victoria and the wife of Sir John Campbell, who was the Governor-General of Canada from 1878 to 1883. The lake is popular with people who love kayaking, canoeing, fishing, and whitewater rafting. It is perfect on a hot summer's day, with water as clear and as pure as anywhere in the world. Lake Louise is known for its emerald-colored water, which comes from rock flour carried to the lake by meltwater from glaciers. For something other than water sports, ice climbing is also a popular but labor-intensive activity at Lake Louise. Banff is unique in many ways. It was the first municipality to be located within a national park, and it is the highest standing town in Canada. With an elevation of almost 1,500 meters, or 5,000 feet. Banff is located around 78 miles from Calgary on the Trans-Canada Highway. Banff is known for its mountainous surroundings and hot springs. It is a major destination for outdoor sports and features extensive hiking, biking, scrambling, and ski areas within the region. 2 ski resorts are located in close proximity, Sunshine Village and Ski Norquay. Banff was settled in the 1880s, and when hot springs were discovered, the town became increasingly popular as a resort. Canada has some of the oldest recorded civilizations, the Inuit people and the First Nations people. Canada's First Nations people are descendants of the original inhabitants of Canada. They've lived on the land for thousands of years before European explorers arrived. When First Nations people were first spotted by European explorers, they were mistakenly thought of as being Indian and were so-called Indians for many years. But recent terminology has changed. Many First Nations people established relationships with the European explorers by setting up fur trading. Those that lived in the forest areas were able to trade furs and learn to live peacefully with the Europeans. There are around 700,000 First Nations people living in Canada today. Around 50% of these people live in the First Nations communities, also called reserves, and the other 50% live mostly in the larger cities. Most First Nations groups are concentrated in British Columbia and Ontario. First Nations people have a strong storytelling tradition. They have a verbal culture and have passed stories along through generations via song and storytelling. Today, their traditions are continued through exhibitions and performances. Canadian children are also taught about the history of the First Nations people at school to retain it as part of their culture. Inuit people inhabit the Arctic regions of Canada, Greenland, and Alaska. The Inuit people use dogs for transportation, and they also pioneered the design for the kayak. Inuit people are well adapted to cold climates. They are adept at hunting in the colder circles and can read and understand weather patterns. However, in recent times, the Inuit people have witnessed great changes as the result of global warming.
That
little island way over there, it was all ice between here and there. That's where we used to go hunting for seals, because there were a lot more over there.
As global temperatures rise during climate change, their environment, which is integral to their survival, is under threat.
What I have noticed is the flowers, some flowers that I've never seen are growing from the ground. There used to be glaciers all year round, but now in summer they're gone.
And also changes their environment visually. The warming weather affects the Inuit people by disabling access to many of the areas that they once used as hunting grounds. For example, if sea ice is no longer solid, any crossing can be dangerous. However, although the climate is changing more rapidly than ever experienced before, the Inuit people are renowned for adapting to harsh environments. Canada's diverse landscapes offer unparalleled opportunities for outdoor activities and wildlife watching. Canada is blessed with geographical diversity that includes over 30,000 lakes and the rugged terrain of the Rocky Mountains. All of these combine to provide an exciting and ever-changing journey throughout the countryside. If you don't fancy the idea of hiking through the hills, another way to see Canada's great outdoors is on horseback. From the Calgary Stampede to Canada's history of horsemanship, many Canadians are ultra-capable riders. But don't let that put you off. With a few lessons, you could easily be trotting along with the best of them. But if you can handle the heat, try hiking. There are trails in Canada to suit all levels of fitness and age ranges. The Trans-Canada Trail is the best-known hike in Canada. It has a 21,500-kilometer trail that weaves through every Canadian province and territory and reaches from the Atlantic to the Pacific and the Arctic Oceans. And don't forget, if you follow a trail, you can hire a bike and cruise your way through the wilderness. During summer, many of Canada's snowfields become a haven for mountain bikers. Areas such as Whistler have installed bike racks on their chairlifts, so people can head to the top of a mountain and bike down the mountainside. And if you're fearless and super fit, you can try climbing the mountains too. Canada's lakes are a hot spot for kayaking and canoeing. After all, it was Canada's Inuit people who originally developed the first methods for kayaking. They were constructed using stitched animal skins stretched over driftwood, and they were known for their ease of use. There are over 30,000 lakes in Canada, and each has its own unique aspect. Whether you prefer rafting, kayaking, paddling, or fishing, there is something to find in Canada's lakes. Aside from humans, another animal that loves to fish is the brown bear. The brown bear is well known across Canada. Weighing between 100 and 700 kilos, the brown bear can be pretty intimidating for tourists and locals. Brown bears usually eat vegetable matter and fungi, and get a lot of their meat from eating fish. Because of this, they don't often disturb humans on purpose. However, if they can smell food, such as in a campsite, they will happily barge in and gorge themselves on your rubbish. The grizzly bear is a subspecies of the brown bear, and it is known for being a little more intimidating than the brown bear. Grizzlies are normally solitary, active animals, but in coastal areas, the grizzlies congregate alongside streams, lakes, rivers, and ponds during the salmon spawn. Every other year, females, referred to as sows, produce 1 to 4 young, most commonly 2, which are small and weigh only about 500 grams. But for the world's cutest species of bear, look no further than the polar bear. Polar bears are native to the Arctic Ocean, and they are the largest carnivores found on land. They have evolved to be well suited to cold climates. They can easily move across snow, ice, and water, and they are excellent at hunting seals, which make up most of their diet. Polar bears are regarded as a vulnerable species. Aside from being hunted relentlessly in the past, global warming is now affecting the bears' habitats and food sources. Polar bears are extremely well insulated, with their 10 centimeters of blubber and their hide and fur. Polar bear fur consists of a layer of dense underfur and an outer layer of guard hairs, which appear white to tan, but are actually transparent. They overheat at temperatures above 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit and are nearly invisible under infrared photography. Did you know Niagara Falls is best seen from the Canadian side? The Niagara Falls are a large cascading waterfall on the Niagara River, straddling the international border between America and Canada, between New York and Ontario. Niagara Falls were formed when glaciers receded at the end of the last ice age, and water from the newly formed Great Lakes carved a path through the Niagara Escarpment. Although they are not high, the Niagara Falls are very wide. More than 6 million cubic feet of water falls over the crestline every minute in high flow, and almost 4 million cubic feet on average. It is the most powerful waterfall in North America. The Niagara Falls are renowned both for their beauty and as a valuable source of hydroelectric power. Did you know ice hockey is Canada's #1 pastime? Ice hockey is always more popular in countries that are cold enough to allow natural, reliable ice coverage for part of the year, and Canada definitely fits that bill. Ice hockey, or simply hockey as it's known, is a fast-paced physical team sport. It combines the ability to work as a team with hand-eye coordination skills, and most importantly, the ability to ice skate, which can be pretty tricky. Players use hockey sticks to hit a puck around the ice rink and try to score goals. In Canada, ice hockey is popular at all levels, beginner, amateur, and professional. It is one of the 4 major North American professional sports, and it is the official national winter sport of Canada. Did you know? In 1857, Queen Victoria was asked to choose a capital city for Canada, and she chose Ottawa. The stories say that she chose Ottawa by sticking her hatpin on a map roughly between Toronto and Montreal, or that she liked watercolors she'd seen in the area. However, other people say that the choice of Ottawa was in fact well planned. Ottawa was the only settlement of any significant size on the border of Canada East and Canada West. Second, Ottawa's position in the backcountry made it easily defendable. Third, the government owned a large parcel of land on a spectacular spot overlooking the Ottawa River. Did you know, without the Canadian Pacific Railway, Canada might not be the country that we know today. People from British Columbia had refused to be unified with Canada unless new transport and infrastructure was built. So the government promised that within 10 years, a railway would be built across the country, joining British Columbia with the rest of Canada. The 10-year deadline came around fast, but the government hired people to begin construction within the time frame, and British Columbia agreed to remain part of Canada. Many workers lost their lives during construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway. The rough terrain, including Fraser Canyon and the mountains, coupled with the lack of modern materials and demolition equipment, meant that it was a treacherous task. Did you know? The Yukon Quest pays homage to the traditions of travel by dog sled. The Yukon Quest is held at the top of the world in northwestern Canada and Alaska. It covers 1,000 miles of rough terrain, and no matter how bad the weather is, it starts on time every year. The Yukon Quest lasts for 10 to 16 days. It covers trails used during the gold rush and sled routes used by mail delivery dogs. The teams consist of 14 dogs and 1 human, musher, or guide. The race is not for the faint-hearted. Teams are not allowed to accept any assistance, except in Dawson City, so all groups have to be prepared for anything. The Yukon Quest champion receives $35,000 for their achievement.